Today we're going to take a look at the newly updated 2022 Honda CB500X. We'll talk about where this 471cc adventure bike fits into Honda's current adventure motorcycle lineup, and we'll dive into its specs and features as well as what Honda changed for this year on the 500X. Plus we'll start it up so you can hear what she sounds like and a lot more as we go over everything you need to know about Honda's cheapest adventure model in the lineup. But first, if you guys find any info in this video helpful, please take a second and hit the like button. Liking the video and throwing a comment below really helps with growing this channel through YouTube's algorithm, which in return helps me create more videos, and I really appreciate the help. So first up, where does the 500X fit into Honda's current adventure motorcycle lineup? If you go off of their website, it's one of 8 different models, but we're going to drop the dual sport models they've lumped in there, and that leaves us with the bike we're looking at today, the CB500X that comes in at $71.99, and then you have the NC750X that starts at $86.99, and that's where you get into having a DCT automatic transmission option with these bikes as well. Followed up by the Mac Daddy Africa Twin lineup that starts at $14,499 and can run you all the way up to $18,099, with an automatic being an option for both Africa Twins. And now that we've got that out of the way, let's jump into some more info on the CB500X. Now, do you have any options when buying this bike?
Nope.
In 2021, Honda removed the option of choosing between standard or ABS, so this bike comes standard with Honda's anti-lock braking system. How about options when it comes to colors? Yeah, no. You only have one color to choose from, and it's this pearl organic green, which I love with this graphic combo. I think it looks killer, but I'd love to see some more colors thrown in a mix, like other corners of the world get, but what do you guys think? Now let's get into the chassis and suspension. It's sporting a 35mm diameter steel diamond tube mainframe with a new upper and lower triple clamp that holds the new inverted 41mm Showa separate function fork big piston setup, also known as SFF-BP. They bring in 5.9 inches of travel, and sadly, they're still not adjustable, but this is a massive upgrade from the previous conventional fork setup. While out back it still has the same ProLink single shock setup, albeit with new spring rate and damping settings to match the new front fork setup, and it still offers you spring preload adjustability with 5.3 inches of travel. Leading us to another one of the changes for this year, which is the swing arm. It's lighter thanks to dropping from 2.3mm to 2mm thick, packing a hollow cross member, but it is stiffer rotationally while allowing more flex laterally to improve overall handling, with the chain guard getting a redesign too. Then we move over to the wheels, another part of the 500X that was changed for this year. You still have a 19-inch up front sporting a 110/80 tire, but the wheels were redesigned with thinner spokes to reduce unsprung weight, which aids massively when it comes to turn-in and overall handling. While out back you've got a 17-inch wheel with a 160/60 tire wrapped around it, and thanks to these weight savings, its overall weight bias is now 48.7 and 51.3 compared to the previous 48-52 split, with its curb weight coming in at 439 pounds, full of all fluids, which is a 5-pound gain over last year. One of the things that helped with that weight increase for this year is that we now have not just a single 310mm disc brake up front, but rather a dual 296mm setup with 2-piston Nissan calipers clamping down on them, but they aren't radial mounted like with its siblings, the CB500F and CBR500R models. While out back you've got a 240mm disc with a single 1-piston caliper. And like I mentioned earlier, this bike comes standard with Honda's 2-channel anti-lock braking system. Wheelbase remains the same at 56.9 inches, and it's the same story when it comes to the seat height for the CB500X at 32.8 inches, and it's still bringing in the same 7.1 inches of ground clearance for those that are really wanting to take this bike off-road. And now let's head over to the engine and drivetrain. This bike's bread and butter and what helps it punch above its weight class. It has a 471cc liquid-cooled 20-degree dual overhead cam 8-valve parallel twin-cylinder engine that's pumping out right at 47 horsepower at 8,600 RPM and 31.7 foot-pounds of torque at 6,500 RPM. Now some of you may be thinking, that's it? But that's where you have to keep in mind there's more to it than just peak horsepower and torque numbers, and if you compare the power to weight ratio of this versus the next step up from Honda, there's not a huge difference, but then that next step up to the Africa Twin is where you really see a massive bump in overall performance, and the price tag reflects that. Needless to say, the engine was originally developed back in 2013 for the CBR500R, CB500F, and CB500X trio, and Honda spared no expense in the development of this package that is now shared with the Rebel 500 and soon to be, possibly, the CL500 Scrambler as well. You have crankshaft pins that are phased at 180 degrees and a primary couple balancer that sits behind the cylinder close to the bike's center of gravity, while the primary and balancer gears use scissor gears to help reduce noise. Its crankcases use centrifugally cast, thin-walled sleeves with an internal design that reduces the losses that can occur with a 180-degree firing order. Plus, its cylinder head uses roller rocker arms, and you have a shim-type valve setup that allows for them to be as light as possible for lower valve spring load and reduced friction. And in an effort to reduce friction even more, you also have a silent SV cam chain that's had its surface of its pins treated with vanadium to reduce friction through its increased protection against dust. And we could geek out even more on the engine, but I'll save those of you that don't want to hear about that stuff. And for those that do enjoy the nitty-gritty details like that, check out HondaProKevin.com. Helping you put this bike's power to the ground is a buttery smooth 6-speed transmission that's helped turning a 520 chain with 15 and 41/2 sprockets. You also have an assist slipper clutch that helps reduce the clutch pull and helps keep the bike under control during deceleration. And speaking of that chain, a lot of people want to see Honda go shaft drive on this bike, but what do you guys think? Would you rather have the ease of shaft drive or the possibility of being able to fine-tune your gearing so easily? Let me know what you think below. And thanks to Honda striving to build the most economical engines possible, this setup won't break the bank to maintain, as you can see here from the maintenance schedule in the owner's manual. Now, American Honda doesn't advertise fuel economy numbers like they used to on most models, but this CB500X is rated at 65 miles per gallon from Honda, and paired up with its 4.7 gallon fuel tank, if we do a little math, that puts your range right around the 300 mile mark before you're pushing it. And now let's bounce around the bike and touch on a few different things. You've got an LCD screen for your gauges that packs an adjustable shift light and gear position indicator, but also the usual odometer, trip meter, fuel consumption, and so on. Plus, aside from the changes we've already mentioned, the radiator was also redesigned to shave some weight because they were adding it in other areas. Plus, you also have new fuel injection settings to fine-tune this engine package even more, and when it comes to the LED lights all around this bike, the headlight and front turn signal LEDs are more powerful for better visibility. Plus, if you have an eye for details, you may have noticed the front fender was redesigned too. Now, do you have any storage on this bike? Well, no, not really. You've got this tiny spot under the seat to stash stuff, and that's it. So if you're going to need somewhere to throw stuff, you'll definitely want to look into some of Honda's OEM accessory options when it comes to saddlebags, trunks, or tank bags, and I'll have some of them linked below with some aftermarket options too. Which leads us to our next point, accessories. And Honda makes a few things, but the aftermarket support has really jumped on board, so you can go ham with modifying this bike to suit your personal needs if that's what you're into, and I'll have some of those options linked below as well. Now let's start it up and show you what she sounds like, and then we'll come back for a few more things. And that's the 2022 Honda CB500X. What do you guys think about the new changes for this year? Do you think they are worth the $200 price increase over last year? Plus, what do you think Honda needs to change next to really bring this bike to the next level, while still being an affordable option at the end of the day? And what do you think about only having one color option to choose from, yet again here in the States? Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments section, and I'll be joining in on the conversation too. Thanks again for watching and supporting all of this. I really appreciate it, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. But first, I want to take a quick second and say thank you to Southern Honda Powersports for opening their doors to me and allowing me to come pick through their inventory for these videos. They are a massive Honda Powersports dealer here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, with tons of inventory from new Hondas to used Harleys and everything in between that they sell to people from all over the USA. So check out the link in the description below and head over to their website to see if they can save you some money on your next toy.